Rai and Jiri at Lunga, Lawani under two moons, the river Tamark in winter. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton.
All right, you tried for it. Hello.
My name is Temba. My arms are wide open. No, my name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we're doing a review, you guessed it, of Star Trek The Next Generation Season 5, Episode 2, Darmok, story by Philip Lezebnik and Joe Menosky, teleplay by Joe Menosky. This was directed by Weinrich Colby, and the date was September 28th, 1991. Where were you? How you doing today, Sirach?
I'm great. I love those dates, you know.
You know, just now that popped in my head, I think this is right around a time where like 8 to 10 of the best rock albums all dropped within like a couple months of each other towards the fall of 91. I'll have to check that out. But like crazy ones like Pearl Jam 10, Nirvana Nevermind, Metallica Black, Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, like just like everything fell at the same time, and I think in like fall of 91. Anyway, everybody, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications. If you're listening in, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. We'd really appreciate that. And visit us on patreon.com/the7th rule to be part of all of the fun. So, Sirach, you've heard us mention this episode so many times. There's Kayshawn the Tamarian on Lower Decks that's always talking nonsense. Now you finally get the jokes. What do you think of this episode?
It was interesting. It had me kind of. It was interesting. I was first a little bit like trying to figure out the puzzle too, and I thought that they should have went to the computer faster than they did in this story. Because I'm figuring, like, if you're going to meet with a delegation, be talking about some treaties or whatnot, there should be way more background than what we saw in that opening kind of executive staff meeting with Data and Worf and Picard, Riker, and Troy. So I don't know. It felt like at the very least, the Federation with their intelligence gathering and you know how big of an entity it is. At the very least, it would be in the profile of these Temerians that communication is difficult and that we don't have that much knowledge about it. You know, because it came as a surprise to them. That's what I'm saying. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry, all we got was they said that they've seen Temerian ships for 100 years and they were incomprehensible. But they didn't say like what they talk like or what, you know, what, because to be honest, it didn't seem like it was that difficult to understand what, you know, because they'd be like, they would celebrate and be like, Temba, his eyes opened or whatever, something like that. I mean, of course, you need to learn about their history to understand it better, but you could tell when they were happy or when they were sad or when they were encouraging something. So,
yeah, and you know, there's certain communication that's nonverbal. I've done a lot of traveling, you know, just in places where I don't speak the language, and you can still find out where the bathroom is. Like people know you need to use the
what's
bathroom.
the nonverbal communication you do, Sirach?
You walk up there and you grab your stomach, you're hopping around like this, you know. There's ways to it's just like it's nonverbal communication is actually one of the biggest ways we do communicate.
I don't know if you grab your stomach, but Geordi was talking about the D region. I don't know if you heard that, but he kept saying,
what did he say?
He said, you know, there's a scattering layers on the upper D region, you know, and they kept talking about the D because it was like the E region, and then they were really focused on hyper focused on the D region. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's a Riker episode, so
right.
You know.
So I do want to say real quick an update on that 1991. 7 legendary 90s rock albums within 44 days of each other. Starting from August 12th, 1991 to the end of September, there was Metallica, Black, Pearl Jam 10, Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, Soundgarden, Bad Motorfinger, and Nirvana, Nevermind. So that's like,
wow,
those are albums that
44 days.
That changed the face of rock basically within 44 days of each other.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's crazy. That's a month and a half of madness. If you're a fan of that genre of music, then you're going to be like overload, sensory overload, I guess, right? What did you think was the best that came out of that?
Oh, out of that?
Yeah, what is the best, your favorite, let's say top three in ranking?
It's really tough because not to deviate too much, but I've already kind of done that. For me, I think I would say objectively, not my favorite necessarily, but objectively, I would say the best album was Pearl Jam 10 to come out of that. Pearl Jam 10, Nirvana, Nevermind, Guns N' Roses, Black, from Metallica. I mean, the only two that are like on a lower level, I think, are Soundgarden and Red Hot Chili Peppers to me. Otherwise, the others are like super upper echelon. I know I'm pissing people off with that answer, but it's Pearl Jam 10 is a perfect album. Anyway,
so you've got the Nirvana at number 2 on that list.
Objectively, like how much, I mean, it changed the face of music, so it should be number 1 for its influence. Personally, my favorite band is Guns N' Roses. So if you're talking about my favorite album, so that's why I'm so conflicted by
you're
this,
like,
because I'm like, it's
that's why you keep saying
favorite.
Objectively. You're like, for what objection?
Yeah, it's tough to say. It's really tough because those are behemoths in the music industry, those albums. Anyway. So sorry to anybody that doesn't care. And anybody that does, leave us comments below. Tell us which one of those 7 do you think is your favorite and objectively the best. So back to this. What do you think, Strock? Do you have one?
No, I don't have one, and I'm going to stay out of the conversation. Stay out of the line of fire on that one.
Yeah, I mean, Nirvana changed the face of all of music with that album. I mean, they just completely took a right turn for a few years. But anyway.
Yeah, not just music, but like culture in general. There was a big cultural shift.
Flannels.
How people dressed. Yeah, it was like a pretty big shift.
So that was this time of this episode. So while they're doing that, we've got Paul Winfield killing it in this role. Like, this was a little bit like Enemy Mine 2, which I think is one of the best sci-fi movies ever, certainly one of my favorites. And it had a little bit of Enemy Mine to it. And I thought that Paul Winfield did a lot with his expressions, but especially with his eyes, because, I mean, when he read for the role, and when he read the script, he was like, wait, I have to memorize all of these things. He has to learn how to pronounce them all and deliver them, obviously as if there's a powerful meaning behind it. But I couldn't help but think, man, that's a tough acting gig.
I'm glad you brought him up, because I kept saying to myself, I know this actor. And I'm like, I know who it is. And I just had to keep listening to his voice and keep listening. I don't like to cheat myself and read the credits. So I was just trying to see if I can guess. But yeah, Paul Winfield's one great actor. I thought he was fantastic in this episode, really carried it. There were moments there where long stretches in this episode where there was actually no words, where it was Picard just standing there, shivering and looking over, and Paul Winfield's over there, curled up and, grabbing his knife, or, and just no words, just all visuals. And it takes a lot in order for that to be working on television. For large stretches of 30 seconds to a minute with no words, it means something else captivating is happening on the camera that's keeping your attention. And I think that In those stretches, the director picked nice shots. I thought the moments accentuated the miscommunication between them and the awkwardness between them. I was thinking to myself though, like, Picard, why don't you just walk over to the fire and
Yeah.
grab your own piece of wood and light it up instead of standing there shivering to death? Like you're not making a threatening motion by walking over with a branch and lighting it on fire so you can walk it back over to your side of the woods,
Yeah, I think
But
Picard was waiting for, he was hoping the guy would extend the, fire olive branch or whatever.
yeah,
That's his way. His way is like, I'm going to let him come to me. I'm sure cats would love him because cats don't want you to go to them. They want you to sit there and they kind of assess you and then they go, all right, you're cool. I'll go to you. So maybe he was trying to do
yeah,
that. But to your point about 30 seconds to a minute of no dialogue, you need to have faith in your actors
yeah,
because if those actors aren't giving something on screen that keeps it, and because I mean, you could have beautiful shots, which are great. You could have a lot of subtext already, you could have already done the work ahead of time for people to know what's going on. But really, people are still watching the actors. And you
yeah.
need to be able to trust that these actors can carry no dialogue and keep it interesting.
And they did. I
Mhm.
mean, you got Patrick Stewart on one end of there, and you got Paul Winfield, who did a fantastic job in this episode. Not just how he was communicating with Picard, but I felt like how he was communicating with his own crewmen. We didn't know what they were saying to each other, but he was talking to his own crewmen in a way, as if they all understood.
Mhm.
And I thought that was also communicated well as with the performance. Um, the crew, his crew, the Temerian crew on that ship seemed to have their little spat and their little argument, and he was trying to say, no, we're going to do it like this and like this. And meanwhile, everybody in the Enterprise is like, I don't know what the hell's going on. So it was an interesting episode. It kept my attention. I don't know how many times I've heard Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra at conventions.
Yeah.
It's or people wearing the T-shirts with it. And I'm like, one day I'm going to know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, what I had forgotten was just how many of these gibberish lines that were or gibberish to us. We all remember, Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. We remember Temba, his arms wide. We remember what's the other one? That's
Shaka when the
Shaka when the
walls
walls
fell.
fell. Yeah, that one is pretty good. Shaka
I like
Zulu
that one.
when the walls.
Yeah.
Shaka Khan. Also, there was one where he said Kira at,
Yeah.
and I got the subtitles on because I like to know exactly what people are saying,
And it's spelled it Kira, right?
and Bashi. So it's basically Kira and Bashir minus one letter.
I saw that.
So
It
that was
said
kind of,
Kira at Bashir, right?
yeah. And this is when Deep Space Nine must have been in development.
Oh, maybe that was a little like
I
like
feel
a
I don't
an
see how
Easter egg.
I don't know how it couldn't have been, but I'd never
Yeah,
noticed
I
that
mean,
before.
I did say Kira at Bashir. Bashir?
Yeah,
Bashir?
Bashi.
Yeah.
Bashi.
Yeah, that was close. That was close because there we did get Akira at Bashir. Actually, did happen. Uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, that was interesting. Those other ones. So you said you didn't realize how many gibberish lines there were in this.
Yeah, there were a whole bunch, and everybody stay tuned for the trivioids to hear a lot of them. But there were more than I remembered because we just remember like the three main ones. But that's
Yeah,
just what made Paul Winfield's performance so good is that he had so many weird ass lines, but he delivered them with so much gusto. And he came off as a character with a lot of heart. How do you come off with so much heart? Right? We felt like we knew his soul. We felt like we knew his heart. We felt like we could say, he was a good man and he was passionate about what we never even understood a word he said, yet somehow we feel like we're like, oh
Mm-hmm.
man, we lost a good man today.
We lost a good man.
He was a
Yeah.
good guy.
Yeah, without any words. I mean, without words that we can understand, But
Yeah.
and the very significant moments that I thought stood out in regards to that. For example, when they are first on the planet, when they first arrive on that planet that's behind you or wherever that is, location filming, um, Picard's standing there unarmed, and he's standing there with two knives in his hand. So visually, it's like, oh, this guy is trying to challenge him to a duel or a fight,
Mm-hmm.
or he wants to just fight him or attack him with the advantage, right? So we weren't sure. There's two knives in his hand. Is this an attack, or is he gonna offer him a knife and say, now let's me and you fight? So right there, we're given as the audience a question to try to solve what's going on here visually. And I thought he did a great job of gaining. This is where I think he gained my trust, is when he was like, ah, Darmok and Jalad at the Tanagra, and he put the knives back in,
Yeah.
like
This
I guess this
dummy.
is gonna
Yeah.
be this is gonna be a lot more longer than I thought. This idiot can't figure out what's going on. And that's when I was like, all right, this guy's not that bad. Like he's frustrated, you know what I mean, as opposed to aggressive, you know. It was like, oh man, this is not gonna be go well because this guy, he doesn't know what the hell we're here for, what's going on here. So I like that. I thought that was well done in the performance.
You mentioned the location. Well,
Yeah.
I've got a whole big juicy goodie on the location, also saved up for the second
Ooh.
segment here, which should be, well, maybe we should go into the location. You know what? Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it. Why
I mean,
tease
that's
it?
an outdoor film. I mean, I didn't know where it was, but it
It
did.
was
I
it was
mean,
Griffith
anytime
Park.
they film, was it? Okay, so up in
Yeah,
Griffith Park.
it was Griffith Park. But here's what's cool about it. Online, check this out.
Ooh.
So here you are, Sirach. You would shoot at Paramount Studios right here, right? Gower and
Yeah.
Melrose. This is where Tim
Yeah.
Russ likes to play, right here, his band. We
Yeah.
got 101. See Thomas Guide. Oh, those Thomas Guides. I never
Oh, the
had to use
Thomas
one of
guy.
those. So glad I didn't. But so look at this. Griffith Park up here, right? Equipment parking, cast and crew parking. We've parked right here when we
Yeah.
went to Griffith Park for like the Voyager dock things, right? This is
Yeah.
exactly where we parked. And then you hike up here, right? And then there's the Batman
I think you
cave.
got your car broken into when we parked there.
I definitely did, and I was like, I don't want to be a downer, but I remember I was like, when I was doing this with it, I was like, I got my car broken into literally right here, money just taken right anyway.
Unbelievable.
So you remember them? So
I remember it.
Bronson Caves, aka the Batman Cave, right here, and so all of these, and it says like from the studio, it's got all these directions, but this is a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
So what's cool about this too, where does it have the date? Yeah, July. Oof. Why do they always do Griffith Park in the middle of summer? July 23rd, 1991. I bet it was hot, and it was a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Darmok, Next Generation, production number. So this is a lot of fun. That's cool. But what was cool about watching this episode in that regard was that since I knew it was at Griffith Park, I was looking around and recognizing certain parts, from when we've been there in the past. Yeah. Like, I mean, I didn't see the cave. I know they
Yeah.
definitely used the Batman cave in a season 7 episode, and maybe others. But yeah, you could definitely recognize, like, there's not a ton of area that you can use in that, right? You shot it with the Battle of whatever that one was, right? The
Yeah,
Siege. Oh,
yeah.
nor
I
the
think
Battle
the
to the
Battle for the
Strong.
Strong.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, we filmed up there. What's funny about that map is how it's hand drawn. That was the
Hmm.
first thing that jumps out to me. It's like, somebody on production hand drew that map right there, put the mountains in there and everything, and I thought that was kind of fun. But the cave stuff, you mentioned the cave. I don't think that was done um, at the Bronson stuff. I think that was done on the soundstage, right? The
Yeah.
cave stuff.
Yeah, what I mean is like there's the Batman cave, right? You see there's a Batman cave there, and a lot of times they'll use it as an exit, like an exterior shot, and you watch them
Right,
walking out of the caves,
right,
and that's like the exit. But when they're in the cave, that's all on the sound stages, yeah.
right. Yeah. So Bronson, yeah. So that was another thing that I kind of noticed was it looked like this episode had a high production value. Like they had to do location film, they had to
Hmm.
do a lot of exteriors, a lot of special effects stuff. There was the shuttlecraft stuff with Worf on that little runabout for a second.
Yeah, with
There was a
Ensign Kellogg. So we also had a few familiar faces too. We had Ensign Kellogg again, who was
Ensign Kellogg.
on the shuttlecraft with Worf. Remember, she's like the tall redhead. We keep seeing her.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
we just keep seeing her. I think the actress's name is Cameron. No last name. She
Okay.
just goes by Cameron. That's it.
Okay.
So that's Ensign Kellogg. And we also saw the helms person. What was her name? Ensign Gates. We've seen her. Remember,
Is that the black woman?
yeah, she keeps popping up. We keep seeing her in a bunch of episodes. So it was great to see her again.
But her hair was different this time. It looked like Ensign Gates.
Yeah.
Should have a bob top. Ensign Gate. That's the black woman, right? The
Yeah.
black woman that was sitting next to Data at the helm.
Yep, exactly. I'll show you her right now. Here she is.
She
Yeah.
jumped out at me.
She's been in a bunch of episodes. This is her.
Yeah, there she goes. That's my sci-fi sister right there.
She's kind of got a Michael Jackson nose, or a Janet Jackson even nose, right?
Yeah, she's the sci-fi sister. Popped up. I wonder where she's what she's doing.
Mm. But she's in a bunch of these episodes, and it's always a bummer when we see somebody in one episode, or sometimes it's two back-to-back episodes, and then we never see them again. It's like,
Yeah,
stop introducing a character that we get interested in, and then we don't ever
yeah.
get to see them again. But her, she got some steady work from this. I don't remember how many episodes it was, but I'll check. It's just always good to see.
Well, she was featured prominently in this one. I kind of she stood out to me. I was like, oh, there she goes. There she is.
Her name is Joyce Robinson. Joyce Robinson. And let me see, how many episodes did she do? I know we checked this once before. Her headshot kind of reminds me of Lisa Turtle from Saved by the Bell.
From Saved by the Bell? Yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of gets Saved by the Bell vibes from her. Yeah, she could
Okay.
definitely passes her mom in like an
So
episode.
she's done 48 Next Generation episodes.
Damn!
So you're going to be seeing a lot of her, I think. I felt like an 80s cartoon, 80s TV show. You're going to be seeing a lot of her. Yeah, she's going to be in like 10 or 12 episodes just this season. So anyway, lots of good
Okay,
stuff there.
get it, girl. I would love to see, maybe if we can get her on the show and contact her and talk
That'd be
to her, 'cause,
awesome.
yeah, I want to, see what it was like for her.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Sure.
so, hey, tell you what, we also have another huge guest star that we will talk about on the other side. We'll be right back on The Seventh Rule.